Prologue. Bors attends a secret gathering of masked individuals from various nations, including nobility and Aes Sedai, where they submit to Baalzamon, the great lord of the dark. He reveals the impending day of return and introduces three key figures, including the Dragon Reborn, as essential to his plans. Bors experiences a vision filled with ominous imagery, but struggles to remember its meaning. After the meeting, he is guided to his quarters by a servant, feeling uneasy about the secrets he must keep. Despite his discomfort, he prepares for significant tasks awaiting him in Terabon and Almoth Plain. In Chapter 1, The Flame of Tar Valon, Bors introduces Rand al'Thor, a young man practicing swordsmanship atop a tower in Fal Dara. The wind brings a sense of foreboding, unusual for the area, and disrupts Rand's concentration during his training with Lon, a seasoned warder. Their sparring reveals Rand's frustrations with his evolving identity and destiny. Lon hints at Rand's significant heritage linked to a heron-marked sword, suggesting its extraordinary origins tied to the Aes Sedai. As the chapter progresses, a procession emerges from the forest, capturing Rand and Lon's attention, foreshadowing upcoming events. In Chapter 2, Rand al'Thor navigates the bustling halls of Fal Dara, where preparations are underway for the Imerlan seat's arrival. He finds women replacing his worn clothes with fine garments, leaving him no time to protest. As the Imerlan arrives, he feels a powerful connection when she meets his gaze. Lord Agelmar welcomes her, and the atmosphere is charged with excitement. Rand attempts to escape the overwhelming attention, but learns that all gates and stables are locked by order of Lord Agelmar, restricting movement. The chapter ends with Rand realizing he is being summoned by the Imerlan seat. In Chapter 3, Rand al'Thor faces guards at the Sally Gate, feeling anxious about the Imerlan seat's presence. He meets Loial the Ogier and later encounters Mat and Perrin, who seem worn down. Rand's fear of hurting his friends strains their relationships. After a tense argument with Egwene, she insists they need to hide him from Aes Sedai, suggesting the dungeon as a safe place. They visit Padan Fain, a captured dark friend, who ominously warns Rand about the ongoing danger he poses. Egwene proposes hiding in the women's apartments, as it's unlikely anyone would think to look there for him. In Chapter 4, Moiraine prepares to meet the Imerlan seat, reflecting on the threat of 3 new false dragons. In her meeting with Anaya and Liandrin, they discuss the political situation in Andor, particularly regarding Morghese and her children. Upon entering the meeting room, Moiraine notes the presence of various Aes Sedai, including the Imerlan, Siuan Sanche. They discuss the implications of Elida's arrival in Tar Valon and her concerns about Moiraine's involvement with a Ta'veren young man. The chapter highlights the political tensions within the Aes Sedai and the sense of urgency surrounding the growing dangers in the world. In Chapter 5, Moiraine and Siuan discuss the threat of stilled Aes Sedai and the importance of the Horn of Valere for the last battle. Moiraine reveals Rand al'Thor as the Dragon Reborn, strategizing to protect him and involving his friends, Mat and Perrin. Meanwhile, Geofram Bornhald leads the Children of the Light to confront dark friends in Terabon. Liandrin manipulates Lady Amalisa into revealing information about Moiraine and her association with a dark friend, insisting on secrecy regarding Rand and his friends. The chapter ends with Padan Fain in the dungeons, waiting for an anticipated event, hinting at future chaos. In Chapter 6, Dark Prophecy, Rand is trapped in a farmhouse besieged by Trollocs. After waking, he learns of Padan Fain's danger and rushes to find Egwene, despite Nynaeve's warnings. Rand encounters chaos in the keep and confronts a Myrddraal with Ingtar. In the dungeons, he discovers severed heads and blood-scrawled words. He finds Egwene and Mat unconscious but unharmed. Moiraine reveals that Fain has escaped and the Horn of Valere is missing, heightening their peril. Rand struggles with suspicions of dark friends within the keep and learns he can leave, but he refuses until he confirms Egwene and Mat's safety. In Chapter 7, Moiraine and other Aes Sedai discuss Mat's unconscious state due to a cursed dagger, expressing concern for his survival and deciding to retrieve the dagger linked to the dark friend Padan Fain. Varen shares a dark prophecy about Lanfear's return and warns of a young man who can channel. Meanwhile, Perrin, feeling out of place among the Aes Sedai, encounters Rand, who is conflicted about leaving. Lan informs Rand that the Amirlan seat wants to see him, advising him to dress properly and respect her authority. Rand struggles with his identity but resolves to face the challenge ahead. In Chapter 8, Rand arrives at the Amirlan seat's chambers, where the Amirlan declares him the Dragon Reborn and questions his ability to channel. Despite his insistence that he is just a shepherd, she warns him of his destiny to unite humanity against the Dark One. After a tense exchange, she allows him to leave without marking him, though some Aes Sedai may threaten him. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Egwene prepare to leave for Tar Valon. Rand seeks Egwene, causing an uproar among the Aes Sedai, but they share a brief emotional conversation about their uncertain futures and his reluctance to be used as a pawn. In Chapter 9, Rand arrives at a busy courtyard where soldiers and horses prepare for departure. He notices Lan and the Aes Sedai are missing, but joins Loial, Mat, and Perrin. Lan warns Rand about the concept of sheathing the sword, hinting at necessary sacrifices. The Amirlan arrives, cautions Ingtar about the horn's dangers, and chaos ensues when a man is shot with an arrow. Rand pursues Ingtar's group, learning that 2 guards are missing, likely taken by Dark Friends, as they embark on their mission. The chapter sets the stage for impending conflict and the urgency of their quest. In Chapter 10, Rand and the Shienerans, led by Ingtar, pursue Dark Friends who stole the Horn of Valere, guided by Hurin. They discover an abandoned Dark Friend campsite and 2 flayed corpses, heightening the sense of danger. Ingtar decides to bury the bodies and leads the group toward a nearby village. Upon arrival, they find the village eerily deserted, with open doors and no signs of life. Rand enters a house and experiences a chilling vision of a family suddenly fleeing in terror. The group later discovers a Myrddraal nailed to a building, leaving them unsettled. Ingtar orders them to move on, following the Dark Friends southward. In Chapter 11, Ingtar stops the Shieneran's march after a disturbing encounter, ordering a defensive campsite. Rand struggles with memories of a village massacre, especially the Myrddraal. Ingtar gives Rand a bundle from Moiraine, revealing it's the dragon's banner, which causes tension among Rand, Mat, and Perrin due to Rand's potential powers. Rand questions his identity and role, torn between running and helping Mat find the dagger. Meanwhile, Fain and his Dark Friends witness the slaughter of villagers by Trollocs, with Fain asserting control and plotting his next moves, fixating on a powerful chest and his connection to Rand al'Thor. In Chapter 12, Egwene and Nynaeve hurry to the Aes Sedai, gathered around the Amirlan seat amid chaos in Fal Dara after an assassination attempt. The Amirlan insists on leaving for Tar Valon, despite Lord Agelmar's concerns. Varen Mathwin informs them about Egwene's channeling abilities and begins teaching her and Nynaeve. They reach the village of Meadow, where Egwene learns that Moiraine has disappeared. Anaiya explains that Nynaeve is already on a ship, and Egwene expresses her worry for Rand, believing he is in danger due to a vivid nightmare. Anaiya suggests Egwene might be a dreamer, hinting at her potential abilities. In Chapter 13, Rand awakens to find himself, Loial, and Hurin alone in a mysterious hollow, with their companions and horses vanished. They discover a large gray stone cylinder inscribed with markings and surrounded by a twisted landscape. Loial recalls that this stone may have been used by Aes Sedai in the Age of Legends to travel between worlds. Hurin expresses concern for his family, and Rand vows to help them return home, acknowledging his ability to channel the One Power. They decide to pursue the Dark Friends, hoping to recover the Horn of Valere and Mat's dagger, setting out southward in search of answers. In Chapter 14, Ingtar and his group are distressed by the mysterious disappearance of Rand, Loial, and Hurin, with Ingtar demanding a thorough search for clues. Uno, the tracker, insists no signs are found. Mat suggests they might have run away, angering Ingtar. Perrin, feeling anxious, connects with wolves and discovers their presence. He learns they are tracking Trollocs and Fain. After revealing to Ingtar that he can communicate with wolves, They decide to follow the wolf's lead. Meanwhile, Varen arrives, sent by Moiraine, inquiring about Rand's disappearance, and joins the group as they continue their search for the Horn of Valere. In Chapter 15, Rand, Hurin, and Loial traverse a desolate landscape while tracking dark friends. Rand feels uneasy as Loial crafts a quarterstaff from a tree. Hurin detects mixed trails hinting at violence. As they camp, Rand reflects on their mission to retrieve Mat's dagger and Fain. He encounters a shadowy figure, revealing itself as Ba'alzamon, who taunts Rand about their connection and past battles. Ba'alzamon offers Rand power in exchange for servitude, intensifying Rand's struggle. Despite being tempted, Rand resists, reaffirming his allegiance to the light. He awakens with a branded heron on his hand, marking his internal conflict. In Chapter 16, Rand awakens Hurin and Loial at dawn, eager to pursue Fain and the Dark Friends. Despite his injury, they ride on, but Hurin struggles to find a clear trail. They discover a spire linked to Artur Hawkwing, indicating danger. Rand hears a woman's screams and defeats a Grolm attacking her. She introduces herself as Selene from Cairhien and hints at Rand's potential for greatness. As they ride, Rand is intrigued by Selene, who possesses extensive knowledge about the world and mentions a portal stone that could return her home. Rand, focused on the Horn of Valere, insists on following the trail despite Selene's pleas, leading to the sighting of more Grolm nearby. In Chapter 17, Rand decides to confront the Grolm, hunting them, despite Selena suggesting they use the portal stone to escape. He skillfully uses his longbow to kill 5 Grolm, entering a meditative state that enhances his focus. After defeating them, he hears more Grolm approaching and reluctantly agrees to use the portal stone. Selene leads Rand and his companions to the stone, where Rand successfully activates it, bringing them back to their world. Selene expresses confidence in Rand's abilities, while Rand worries about the Dark Friends and their pursuit of the Horn of Valere, deciding to remain vigilant. In Chapter 18, Egwene and Nynaeve travel on the River Queen toward Tar Valon, where Egwene worries about Rand, and Nynaeve expresses frustration with her training. The Amirlan seat visits and demonstrates the One Power, highlighting Nynaeve's struggles with her temper. As they approach Tar Valon, Egwene is captivated by its beauty. Upon arrival, they find themselves ignored by the bustling dock workers and Aes Sedai. Sheriam, the mistress of novices, greets them and informs Egwene that she is now a novice while Nynaeve will be accepted. Sheriam reassures Nynaeve that novice training will not be as harsh as she fears, and she offers to help them settle in. In Chapter 19, Rand al'Thor spends a cold night at Kinslayer's dagger, reflecting on Selene and the Horn of Valere. After learning of a hidden fire nearby, indicating Fain's presence, he decides to investigate alone, leaving Hurin and Loial with Selene. Rand finds the horn and Mat's dagger, but faces chaos when Fain discovers the horn is missing. Rand fights off Trollocs to protect Loial and secure their escape. Rand decides to take the horn to Shinar, despite Selena's warnings about the danger they now face from Dark Friends. He also resolves to keep Mat's tainted dagger, believing it essential for his friend's survival. In Chapter 20, Rand and his companions travel through Cairhien, with Rand reluctant to show Selene the Horn of Valere despite her insistence. He believes it should remain hidden, especially as he worries about Fain pursuing him. As they ride, Rand notices a massive excavation with a stone hand holding a glowing crystal sphere, which draws him in. Selene urges him to leave, concerned about guards below. Rand experiences a moment of powerful connection to Saidin, shouting before snapping out of it. They eventually reach the village of Tremoncian, where Selene pressures Rand again about the horn, but he remains firm in his refusal. In Chapter 21, Rand, Selene, Loial, and Hurin arrive at the Nine Rings Inn and meet Mistress Madwyn, who mistakenly believes they are hunting the Horn of Valere. During dinner, soldiers sing as Rand plays the flute, but Rand grows concerned about Captain Aldrin Caldevin's interest in them, suspecting a connection to Cairhien's dangerous politics. The next morning, Selene leaves without warning, sending Rand a note expressing her distrust of Caldovwyn. Outside, Rand meets Caldovwyn and his escort, Elricaine Tavelin. Realizing Selene evaded Caldovwyn's watch, Rand feels anxious about their situation as they depart for Cairhien. In Chapter 22, Moiraine reflects on her bond with Lan and her plans to transfer it to Myrell upon her death. Lan resists but ultimately affirms his loyalty. After Lan leaves, Moiraine contemplates his growing connection with Nynaeve. Suddenly, a drag car appears, attempting to ensnare her with its crooning. Lan and Jaime arrive just in time, driving their blades into the creature. Moiraine, drained, acknowledges that the drag car was warded, revealing the threat of the Black Aja. As villagers approach, she instructs them to hide the drag car. Moiraine prepares to leave, hoping to find answers elsewhere. In Chapter 23, Nynaeve, guided by Sheriam, faces a terra angrial that forces her to confront her greatest fears to become accepted. She steps through the arch, finding herself in a maze where she meets Agenor, a Forsaken. Using the one power in self-defense, she chooses to return through the arch, emerging renewed but disturbed. She later enters Emond's Field, discovering neglect and turmoil. Marin Alvear reveals that Malena has taken control, and people are afraid of her. Nynaeve resolves to confront Malena and regain her position as wisdom, but she is haunted by the horrors she witnessed. In Chapter 24, Egwene is introduced to life as a novice in the White Tower. She meets Elaine, who guides her through the challenges they face, including harsh training and chores. Egwene realizes they both possess the ability to channel. Elaine reveals her identity as the daughter heir of Andor, and expresses concern over a powerful Aes Sedai named Elada, who is searching for Rand. They encounter Logain, the gentled false dragon, which raises Egwene's fears for Rand. Min, a former inn-worker, joins them, claiming to have visions, and Egwene meets Elaine's brother, Galad, who shows interest in her. In Chapter 25, Rand arrives in Cairhien, contrasting the lively Foregate with the somber city within. He learns about the aftermath of the Aiel War from Huron and declines invitations from 3 noble houses, wishing to avoid political intrigue. Rand seeks Lady Selene, but is distracted by a performance and discovers Tom Merrilin alive and performing. They share a brief reunion, with Tom revealing his injury from a fade and his disappointment over Moiraine's absence. Tom asks Rand for his harp and flute and invites him to meet later at the Bunch of Grapes, promising to share more tales. In Chapter 26, Rand al'Thor is excited to reunite with Tom Merrilin in Cairhien, despite Loial's hesitations. They meet at the Bunch of Grapes Inn, where Rand introduces Tom to Dina, his apprentice. Rand reveals that they possess the Horn of Valyr, which intrigues Tom, but he ultimately declines to join Rand's quest, preferring his life with Dana. Tom contemplates the Horn's significance to the last battle, while struggling with the temptation to assist Rand. Zira warns Tom about the dangers of political intrigue in Cairhien, urging him to marry Dina and leave the past behind, but Tom remains skeptical. In Chapter 27, Rand and Loial navigate the Foregate, evading dark friends and Trollocs. After a Trolloc attack, Rand is saved by Loial, and they seek refuge at a hill with walls, likely the Illuminator's chapter house. They encounter Selene, who warns them of danger. As they approach the building, Loial accidentally sets off a firework, creating a diversion. Rand uses the distraction to attack the Trollocs, causing chaos. Afterward, he discovers Selena is missing and receives a sealed letter from an unknown woman, urging him to think of the Horn of Valyr and glory. In Chapter 28, Perrin and his group continue through the mountains, wary of their surroundings as wolves sense danger ahead. Perrin shares information with Ingtar about Shadow Killer, a mysterious figure the wolves respect. An Aelman named Urien appears, surprising the group, and engages in tense but peaceful dialogue. Urien reveals he is searching for He Who Comes with the Dawn, a man prophesied to lead the Aiel out of the waste. He inscribes a symbol in the dirt, which unsettles Perrin and Mat, reminding them of the ancient symbol of the Aes Sedai. Varen urges haste after the encounter. In Chapter 29, Geofram Bornhald arrives at a village where he sees the aftermath of Terraboner's soldiers' violence, including a gibbet with 30 bodies. He learns from Muad about the likely involvement of the questioners. Meanwhile, aboard the Spray, Domon fears a pursuing Xianshan ship. Upon being boarded, he encounters Captain Egianin, who reveals the strength of her domain, a collared woman. Domon reluctantly agrees to sail to Falme after being told he must swear oaths to Egianin. As they approach Falme, he observes the many Xianshan ships and the mixed reactions of the local population, pondering his future with the Xianshan. In Chapter 30, Rand al'Thor observes the chaos in Cairhien after a fire erupts at the defender of the Dragon Wall. He clashes with Huron and contemplates burning invitations from influential figures to avoid politics. When he learns Huron is trapped in a smoke-filled room, Rand rushes to rescue him, struggling through flames and smoke. Loyal helps by carrying Huron, but the ceiling creaks ominously. Rand retrieves his saddlebags and the banner of Luz Theron Telamon just before the ceiling collapses. After escaping, he finds Mat, Perrin, and Ingtar, but feels despair, believing it's too late to save Huron. In Chapter 31, Rand reunites with Mat, Perrin, Loyal, and Varen in Cairhien. Mat is curious about how they arrived first, leading Rand to disclose that the Dark Friends have the Horn of Valere and the dagger. Huron, the Sniffer, can track the Dark Friends to Lord Barthanes' manor. Varen offers to secure an invitation, and Rand presents sealed invitations from Barthanes and King Galdrian, raising concerns about their safety. Varen warns that Barthanes may set a trap if Rand doesn't reply. They learn about a powerful Sa'angreal being unearthed, and Rand emphasizes the need to retrieve the horn and dagger first. In Chapter 32, Rand and his companions arrive at Lord Barthanes' manor for a gathering. Rand introduces himself and his party, which includes Varen, Ingtar, and Loyal, while Mat and Huron take on secretive roles. Rand feels out of place among the nobility, noticing their scrutiny. Barthanes greets them with interest, particularly towards Rand, hinting at political intrigue. Loyal reveals a nearby waygate, indicating that the location has Ogier roots. Rand tries to evade socializing, feeling the pressure of expectations, especially from curious noblewomen. He eventually finds Tom, who warns him about the dangerous implications of his presence and the involvement of Aes Sedai. In Chapter 33, Rand follows Huron to the kitchens, discussing Mat's condition and the recent attack on the inn. They explore a walled garden and discover a waygate, which Rand believes leads to Fane. When Rand activates it, the Black Wind, Machine Shin, emerges, but he manages to close the gate. They decide to seek Varen's help to find Fane, who has taken the Horn of Valere to Toman Head. Barthanes relays a message from Fane, warning Rand that he will pursue him relentlessly. Varen suggests they use another waygate at Stedding Tsofu to follow Fane. In Chapter 34, Tom Merrilin returns to find Dina dead, prompting him to kill 2 of Barthanes' men, who were seeking information about Rand al'Thor. Zira warns Tom that Barthanes has been killed, urging him to leave Cairhien. Meanwhile, Padden Fane arrives in Falme, presenting the Horn of Valere to Shanshan's High Lord Turak. Fane attempts to convince Turak to sound the horn, claiming a long tradition of loyalty to the blood of Artur Hawkwing. Turak declines, expressing concerns about the consequences of possessing the horn and revealing his suspicion of Fane's motives. Fane plots to kill Rand al'Thor as he leaves. In Chapter 35, Rand and his companions journey to Stedding Tsofu, facing uncertainty about their mission. Varen pushes for speed, while Ingtar doubts their direction. Mat, fatigued, is healed by Varen but remains weak. Upon arrival, they feel peace, and Loyal is relieved to be back. An Ogier woman, Aerith, requests armed men to remain outside. Tensions rise with the appearance of Ale women, but they remember the pact, easing the situation. The chapter ends with Rand and his friends being taken to meet the elders. Rand reflects on his identity and the pressure of their situation, especially regarding Loyal's potential marriage. In Chapter 36, Rand and his companions visit the Ogier town, where Loyal feels increasingly anxious due to the attention from the Ogier women. The group meets the elders of Stedding Tsofu, led by Alar, who discuss the dangers of using the Waygate to pursue the Horn of Valere. Despite their reluctance, the elders agree to help after Varen demonstrates the risks through Trail, a damaged Ogier who suffered from using the ways. Rand insists on bringing Loyal, who can navigate the ways. The chapter ends with a plan to use a nearby portal stone to reach Toman Head quickly as time is running out. In Chapter 37, Rand and his companions gather at a portal stone as Varen explains its function. Rand, despite his fear of channeling Saidin, is urged to take a risk to find the Horn of Valere and save Mat. He selects a symbol leading to Toman Head. After channeling, they arrive late in autumn, realizing they have lost 4 months. Varen reassures Ingtar about finding the horn, and Rand comforts Mat, who expresses his loyalty. Varen informs them that larger towns are westward, prompting Rand and the group to mount and ride west, determined to find Fane and the dagger before it's too late. In Chapter 38, Egwene practices channeling Saidar, while Nynaeve expresses anxiety about Galad. Min warns of impending danger, which shifts focus when Elaine reveals King Galdrian's death, indicating a civil war. Liandrin insists that Nynaeve and Egwene help Rand, Mat, and Perrin, who are in danger related to Shaol Ghul. Despite Nynaeve's concerns, Elaine insists on joining them to Toman Head, fearing the Black Aja. Min affirms Elaine's connection to the boys. The chapter concludes with Nynaeve pragmatically planning their journey, while Egwene worries about Rand's safety, determined to assist him. In Chapter 39, Egwene, Nynaeve, Elaine, and Min escape the White Tower disguised as petitioners. They reach the South Stable to saddle their horses and encounter Liandrin, who insists they use a Waygate to assist Rand al'Thor and the others. Despite doubts, they follow her through the Waygate into the dark, disorienting ways. Liandrin leads them on a grueling journey, halting for food and rest, warning against using the power in the tainted environment. As exhaustion mounts, Egwene's fears grow, but they continue, determined to reach their destination as Liandrin prepares to open the next Waygate. In Chapter 40, Egwene and her friends arrive through a Waygate and encounter High Lady Suroth and her soldiers. Suroth confronts Liandrin about captured women, leading to chaos where Egwene is collared and introduced to her Suldam, Rena. Egwene learns the harsh rules of their bond, including that punishment to Rena will also harm her. Suroth orders the capture of more women who can channel. Meanwhile, Nynaeve and Elaine, separated from Egwene, regroup. Nynaeve decides they must go to Falme to rescue Egwene and Min, aware of the dangers they may face. In Chapter 41, Rand and his companions navigate a cold, rainy landscape, their spirits dampened by their surroundings and the lingering fear of the Xianshan. They learn from villagers about the horrors inflicted by the invaders, who have left the area in fear. Ingtar reveals his determination to find the Horn of Valere, believing Fine seeks it for his gain. Rand decides he must travel to Falme to confront Fine, sensing an urgent connection. Tensions rise as Varen warns of the dangers in Falme, but Rand feels compelled to act, leading to an unsettling encounter with Baalzamon in a dream, where he defies the Dark One's manipulations. In Chapter 42, Nynaeve and Elaine hide in Falme, wary of 2 Xianshan women linked by a silvery leash. Nynaeve is disgusted by the treatment of Domain, recalling her feelings about Liandrin, while Elaine steals apples, revealing their desperation. They suspect Egwene is imprisoned nearby. Meanwhile, Egwene, confined and struggling with her collar, is visited by Min, who shares news of a ship. Egwene feels trapped and hopeless, fearing her identity as a Domain. When Rena arrives, she punishes Egwene for channeling, asserting control over her and changing her name to Tuli, escalating Egwene's despair. In Chapter 43, Min struggles with feelings of helplessness as she hears Egwene's screams. She encounters Nynaeve and Elaine, who have also arrived in Falme. Min warns them of the dangers posed by the Xianshan and their Domain. They discuss a ship captain, Doman, who may help them escape. Nynaeve reveals her Aes Sedai ring to persuade Doman to set sail quickly. After negotiating with him, he agrees to be ready to leave within a few days. Despite their hope, Min worries about the urgency of rescuing Egwene and the risks they face. In Chapter 44, Paran, Mat, and Hurin navigate a wary village on Toman Head, avoiding attention due to recent violence from the Seanchan. They discover a charred area, indicating past brutality. Hurin confirms Fane passed through but was alone, prompting them to seek their horses. Suddenly, they spot the White Cloaks entering the village and flee westward. Meanwhile, Rand and his group await their return, growing anxious. Upon their arrival, they report finding Fane's trail and numerous White Cloaks. Varen proposes a plan for the 5 of them to pursue Fane and the Horn of Valere, despite the dangers. In Chapter 45, Elaine and Min capture the Suldam Seda to use her for infiltration in Falme. Meanwhile, Rand, Perrin, Mat, and Ingtar search for Fane, finding the Horn of Valere and Mat's dagger in a house. As they attempt to escape, Rand spots Egwene, collared by the Seanchan, and is confronted by High Lord Turak. A fierce duel ensues, where Rand kills Turak in self-defense. Despite his companions urging him to leave with the horn, Rand vows to return for Egwene as they escape amidst chaos and alarms ringing from the house. In Chapter 46, Nynaeve, Elaine, and Min, with Sita, reach the building where domain are held. They find Egwene collared and fearful, and remove her collar, helping her disguise herself. They learn Suldam can channel, shocking them all. Just as they plan their escape, Renna, a Suldam, arrives. Egwene attacks Renna, allowing the group to flee into the street, where they face advancing Seanchan soldiers. Meanwhile, Bail Doman and his crew prepare to leave as chaos erupts in Falme. Rand, feeling the urgency of his mission, resolves to save Egwene and the Horn of Valere, while Ingtar contemplates his past. In Chapter 47, Rand, Mat, Perrin, and Hurin prepare to confront the Seanchan army. Rand reveals that Ingtar is dying, and they need to take the Horn of Valere to Varen. Mat insists they must rescue Egwene, who is imprisoned by the Seanchan. As they survey the battlefield, they see thousands of Seanchan soldiers, along with the White Cloaks approaching. Mat sounds the horn, summoning legendary heroes including Artur Hawkwing. Rand realizes he must confront Ba'alzamon, who taunts him, attempting to sway him with thoughts of his identity and power. Rand battles Ba'alzamon, hoping to buy time for his friends to rescue Egwene. In Chapter 48, Min struggles through a panicked crowd in Falme, witnessing Seanchan ships burning. She is drawn to a tall building where she finds Rand unconscious under an oak tree, injured and cold. After managing to bring him inside, she lights a fire and warms him by getting into bed with him. Egwene arrives and expresses concern about Rand's safety, revealing that they all feel a connection to him. As Min confides in Rand, a beautiful woman named Lan Fair appears, claiming to be connected to him. She warns Min to tend to Rand, leaving Min shaken. Meanwhile, Bayer rides away, determined to report the betrayal he believes has occurred. In Chapter 49, Rand wakes up with Min beside him, realizing he has been unconscious for 5 days after the events in Falme. Min informs him that Egwene, Nynaeve, and Mat have left for Tarvalon, having freed Egwene. Rand discovers he has a heron brand on his palm, and Moiraine reveals that 2 seals on the Dark One's prison have been broken. The Dark One's appearance in the sky indicates danger. As the Shienarans pledge their loyalty to Rand, he grapples with his identity as the Dragon Reborn, ultimately deciding to accept his role in the looming last battle. In Chapter 50, tales of Rand's battle in the sky above Falme spread across Arad Doman and Tarabon, igniting fervor and chaos as men proclaim loyalty to the Dragon Reborn. Stories of a mighty column of bordermen, some claiming thousands, riding under Rand's banner emerge, recounting their triumph over the Children of the Light. These accounts emphasize Rand's visible presence in the sky and evoke hope for the rebirth of the Promised One. The populace prays for the dragon's return, seeking protection and justice against the looming darkness, underscoring the shifting tides of allegiance and the growing significance of Rand's identity.